please tell us a little bit about the history of implantology, because many viewers want to know how it actually came about that implants are used in the jaw area today.
Yes, good afternoon. Well, there was some ancient implantology taking place in Egypt. That's what I hear. I don't know a lot about it, but we can see after the Second World War basically three phases of implantology. The first phase started around the 1950, 52, 54. This was all started by Professor Lenny Linko from New York, who was actually one of my teachers. And he was placing polished implants, fully polished implants, screw implants, blade implants, and subperiosteal implants. So most of the implants were placed into the bone, and many implants were kind of sutured under the periosteum. So this was the way how they did it, but they used polished implants, and they worked, of course, in immediate lowering protocol, so nobody had to wait for the healing of the implant or of the bone around the implant, and this is how it worked. And this technology was spread around the world more and more. The practitioners learned from each other. There was, of course, no knowledge at the universities. None of the universities were teaching about implantology at that time, and it was spreading more and more. Lenny Linko was traveling a lot around the world. He gave courses everywhere, virtually everywhere. Then, unfortunately, the word osseointegration was put into the word. It's a very confusing word. Even the young practitioners today don't really know what osseointegration means, but everybody talks about osseointegration, and actually the meaning of this word has also changed over time. And who had changed it? The big manufacturers had been changing the word and kind of tuning the word towards the product. So that's why it is in general so difficult for the practitioners to keep their brain clear about what osseointegration is and what to do with it. So this osseointegration phase started in the 1980s with an experiment of Mr. Brannemark. So he showed that bone can grow towards an object from titanium, and you will see the impression of this object inside the bone after some time, and this is what they called osseointegration. So osseointegration means a direct contact between the surface of this object, for example titanium surface, and the bone. So they are directly living together with each other. So the bone will not die, it will form a cortical, and it will be kind of encapsulating this way the object. We see these encapsulations in the body in many other areas. For example, implants in the soft tissues can be encapsulated. We know this, for example, from breast implants, which females get, that these implants can get encapsulated. This is not what we want in the case of the breast implant, but this is what we want in the case of the oral implant, of the implant in the bone. So we want the encapsulation takes place, and this is what we call then osseointegration.
Are the areas of application of all implants completely the same?
Yeah, basically implants are replacing teeth, let's say, or they allow the mounting of fixed teeth. But there's a difference between the osseointegrated implants, the old implants, which were used to replace single teeth. But if the patient still had teeth, these teeth usually were not extracted in order to put an osseointegrated implant. Why not? Because the survival time of osseointegrated implants are short. So they are basically 7, 8, 10 years can be expected for those implants to stay in the mouth. And of course you cannot extract a tooth which would last 15 years to replace it by an implant which lasts 10 years. So basically these osseointegrated implants are, in a way, compared to the long lifespan of humans, they are temporary implants. They work for some time and then they will either come out by themselves or they have to be taken out.
And the older implants were developed for the osseointegration method. Please tell us what that means.
The bone heals towards the implant. This is osseointegration. But to come back to the question which you asked me before, there are, of course, implants. They are actually the ossifixated implants. They can last forever. They can last to the end of the life of the patient. And here, of course, the indications for placing these implants and the indication for removal of teeth are completely different. So if the patient doesn't want to live together with his or her own teeth, then these teeth can be removed. At any stage of life, let's say 40, 50, whenever the patient says, no, it's enough with the repairs, I want these teeth out, then this can be done. And we can put ossifixated implants in, and then this will last hopefully forever. We have long-term studies. We see patients who have these implants in the mouth 20 and 25 years without any problems, without any bone loss. You would be shocked to see the panoramic picture that after 25 years, the bone line is still the same. Nothing has changed. This is something that the two-stage implantologists, the osseointegrators, cannot even believe, but it's like this. We have experience and we can prove this. So for those implants, for ossifixated implants, it's completely different indications. They are good for removing the teeth, replacing the teeth by ossifixated implants, and this is the choice of the patient to do this.
Does osseointegration also exists in other areas of medicine, in jaw fracture plates, or in the area of osteosynthesis?
No. No. I mean, traumatology and orthopedic surgery works in immediate loading protocol. The bone screws are fixated in the cortical, actually in two corticals, just the way we do it, and there is no osseointegration. This is the only you can tell the story about osseointegration. You can only tell it to dentists.
How did the implants hold up before osseointegration?
In the cortical. This is what Professor Linke was teaching, that every implant has to be in contact with the cortical. At that time, there were no bicortical screws or these corticobasal implants. They were not available. The bicortical screw, the patent was filed by Professor Graffelmann 1988, and before this type of implant was not known or not described, not used. Slowly after 1988, the story developed. I mean, the other part of the story was that Mr. Graffelmann, who invented this implant, was not able to teach what to do with it. So his company, Oratronic company, was selling the bicortical screw, and in the beginning of the 2000s they took this product off the market because nobody was buying it. And why they didn't buy it? Because they didn't know how to handle it. So the education was missing. There were no courses which really described what to do with it. And if you look, for example, at BCS implant or strategic implant, this came on the market 2006, and today millions of these implants are of course sold. But now of course we know how to handle it.
How and where can a dentist get training for modern implantology today?
Yeah, come to Belgrade, I would say. We do this all in 1 week course. So this is a full 7-day course in oral implantology, in the immediate loading. And there's a few universities, but not in Europe, where you can learn this. But if you're in Europe, you better come to Belgrade, come to the all in 1 week course.
And how can a dentist or a student find out whether a lecturer has any real knowledge and experience in the field of dental implantology?
Yeah, the real knowledge, it's difficult to know if somebody has a knowledge. Usually those people who have no knowledge don't know this, and they talk a lot. On the other hand, the experience can be measured nowadays. The IF has defined the experience factor, EF. It is calculated by the number of the implants and the years the practitioner is watching these implants. So I would say between 25 and 40,000 implant years is a quite good experience factor. So if doctor has this type of experience, they can run a clinic, and they can also supervise other doctors. Of course, there are a lot of doctors nowadays who have experience factor in this range for corticobasal implants. I'm not so sure if so many practitioners who do osseointegration are available who have this experience, a necessary experience. I mean, I do implantology now 30 years, and I have experience factor around 400,000 implant years. This is of course a lot. And there are other practitioners who are more or less have the same experience. I mean, I think these people should be the ones the young doctors should listen to.
Treatment standards in implantology?
In the field of osseointegration, there is no standard. No, every university tells something else. Obviously, it depends on from which manufacturer the university was bought up. On the other hand, in the field of ossifixation, we have clear standards. They are laid down in consensus documents, and you can read them on the internet. And for example, on implantfoundation.org, you see 9 consensus documents, and they define what is state of the art.
Is it true that the surfaces of dental implants have to be specially manufactured so that the implants hold well and quickly?
No, that's not true. That's the fairy tale from the universities. The universities believe this, but it's not true.
Does the surface of the implants really influence the production cost of the dental implant?
No. Basically, the most expensive part of implant production is the cleaning and the packaging. If you want to make the implant body completely clean, and this is what is demanded by the authorities, by FDA or by those who give the CE, completely clean implant surface, so no toxins, no particle, nothing. The best thing you can do is to etch it. So that's why etching was invented. Also, if you sandblast the implant before the etching, then you have to take off the sand, because some particles of aluminum oxide will be sticking to the surface. They will not come off. So that's why they are etching. So this etching, I mean, the sandblasting is made to make the implant rough. I mean, it's stupid, but that's what they do. And then later they have to take off the sand, and this is a part of the cleaning process. So it's we call this anyway costs. Costs you have anyway. If you want to sell implants, you have to clean them.
So do the rough surfaces also have disadvantages for the patients? And if so, which are they?
No, of course, patients get periimplantitis. I mean, pain, pus, infections, implants get lost. This is the disadvantages. I mean, it's major disadvantages, I would call this.
Now that the periimplantitis has been discovered, why hasn't the industry taken a step back to the implants that don't cause this big problem?
because they are basing their marketing on the surfaces. I mean, if they now tell after 20, 30 years that the polished surfaces are better, so why should somebody buy a Straumann implant for 350 euros with a polished surface? Nobody will do this, of course. Everybody will understand that this is a piece of titanium and it's just polished. And of course it works. Maybe the Straumann design will not work if it's polished. I mean, this is the problem. But if you design the implant properly, the polished implants are the best. I mean, you have to simply the design, the outer, the shape, the diameter, the type of the threads have to be different, and then you can work with a polished implant. So I never understood why they don't go back. I have patients in my clinics, they have two-stage implants in the mouth, 25 years. They have 25 years. There's no perimplantitis, nothing. So it's not the diameter or that it's the old Brandenmark implant that makes it so durable. It was polished. That's why it's good. That's why patients have also not, after 25 years no infection. Everybody who wants to know this can know this. It's not a secret. But simply the manufacturers don't want to tell this. I mean, they sell the surfaces. This is what makes the price. And the patients have no say. The patients have no influence. I mean, this was the first thing. If you think back when this word osseointegration was invented or brought over the population, let's say, the first thing that happened was that these companies, which are big now, took away from the market all the small manufacturers who made polished implants, and simply after a few years, I would say 3-4 years, there was nothing else available than rough implants. And every cleaning lady knows that the rough carpet is much more difficult to clean than the polished parquet.
And how was it possible for osseointegrated implants to gain and retain such large market shares? How was that controlled?
Yeah, you cannot control this really. I mean, they are working in the direction. They're controlling media, so they write only these implants are good. Then they control the universities. They start teaching only about these implants. And later they control through pressure on the colleagues that they use these implants, because they tell them if you use something else and you're going to have a problem, nobody will help you. They will all, put you down. But use our implants and you will be safe from any experts and all these court cases